Can we please stop all this propaganda about retiring early? If you're not retiring by the time you're 55, what are you doing? If you haven't retired yet, what are you doing? Retire as soon as you can. Your life is passing by. All I see are thumbnails talking about retiring early. What are you doing if you haven't retired? And honestly, I'm getting tired of it because not everyone wants to retire early, nor does everyone have the ability to retire early. And that's what I wanted to talk about today because I'm 54 and I could potentially retire in the next 4 years, but I don't know if I want to. There are lots of us Gen Xers who would love to retire, but many of us who chose to have our kids later in life. And I was 34 and 36 when I had my kids. So I'm now at the point where, yes, I would love to retire, but financially it doesn't really make sense because I still have 2 young adults that are in university. One who is in 3rd year, one who hasn't even started yet. So the idea of retiring while these kids are still in school, it doesn't really work for us. Now, there's a lot of people who may say, okay, let your kids put themselves through school. But that's the decision that we've made. We decided that we were going to help our kids get a good start on life. We're paying for their post-secondary education. So retiring is out of the question. My cat, this is Gideon. Retiring is out of the question until at least, they make their way through their university education. Hi, I'm Lori and welcome to my channel. This is Ever After 50. I'm a full-time working mom. I've worked in public service for 26 years, Canadian family here. I'm married. I have 2 young adults still living in the home. I also run a small business, and I hope if any of this resonates with you, if you're experiencing midlife, that you will subscribe, check out a few of my videos, and join the conversation in the comments. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get to I think a lot of people use work as their social network. And for me, I've done many videos about this, why it's important to curate a life for yourself outside of work and be comfortable doing things on your own. And I'll share that video here because I think with most of us Gen Xers, if we do have young adults still living in the home, we've already noticed that they are they're shifting into their own schedules, their own lives, and spending less time with us. So it's important to start establishing the routine of doing things without your kids. And for some people, if work has been their primary source of, entertainment and a social life, that's something that's really important to them, that they would want to stay on as long as they can. For me personally, that's not the case. I'm happy to get out whenever I can. My early retirement is 2030, but I don't think I'll be taking that because I want to make sure my kids make it through the end of their post-secondary. So retirement isn't always the best answer for everyone. And retiring as soon as possible isn't always the best answer. There's a lot of Gen Xers that are now also faced with the task of taking care of aging parents. So they may be forced into retirement and still not really able to enjoy the freedom that comes with retirement. Not a lot of people are financially equipped for retirement. And if you don't have a, work pension or investment saved, or in the States, the 401k, I think it's called, you've got to prepare yourself for a drastic change in your way of living. And of course, you're going to change, the amount of traveling you do, the going out, the eating out, your budget. You need to factor in your budget of what you're going to spend. Now, obviously, when your kids are not living with you anymore and you're not having the expense of having them, then there's less money spent there. However, if you want to maintain the same lifestyle or very similar, you've got to really take a long, hard look at your budget and how much income that you're going to have coming in at retirement. The freedom that comes with retirement sounds amazing, but if you are in a position where you've got a job with lots of vacation time and you're at the top of the pay scale, it's a bit of the best of both worlds to be working and still have all that time off. So there's many reasons why people don't want to retire right away. As I said, it could be that you've got kids that are waiting to go through post-secondary. People can't afford to. People use it as their social network. And also, I think if people don't have outside activities, they're worried that they're going to get bored and not have anything to do. So a lot of people will stay on as long as they can. And in my case, as I said, I do plan to retire before I'm 60. I mean, the story might change later on, but for us, it doesn't make sense because we want to make sure our kids get through post-secondary first. And I don't want to seem unsympathetic. But all these videos, all these catchphrases and like clickbait of, I got laid off again at 60 years old, or, oh, I retired at 53 and it's the best thing I ever did. A lot of cases, people are forced into retirement because they get laid off. And that's a different scenario. So coming here talking about how it's the best thing that ever happened and I would not change anything and I would definitely do that if I had a choice, I don't think anyone really would voluntarily choose to retire at any age if they were not at least prepared. Another point to make is that there's a lot of people who are seasoned workers. They've been at their jobs for many, many years, and it's like having the best of both worlds. You have a high number of weeks of vacation, and you are also maybe at the top of the pay scale. So I think even in retirement, you're going to take a loss in pay if you're on a pension, but I mean, staying on at work and having, the maximum amount of vacation plus overtime hours, like all of this time off, for me personally, I think it is the best of both worlds. I may as well stay a little bit longer. I'm still going to have all of those vacation weeks, overtime hours, and getting my full pay. I feel like a lot of people just want to maximize whatever they can towards the end of their career. And that's totally okay. And no one should feel shamed or guilt because, hey, what are you doing? You're still working when you're 55, 56, 70, whatever. People do what they have to do. And retiring early isn't for everyone. I got thinking about this topic when I was looking at my own pension and the dollar amount and, if I retired at a certain age or if I extended it a few years. And for me personally, it makes more sense to stay on a couple extra years. But also, like I said, we want to make sure that our kids make it through post-secondary and that that's covered for them. So leaving, employment early and retiring, it doesn't work for everyone. And mind you, don't worry, I will for sure, as soon as I turn 60, I will be collecting my Canada pension early. So I'm not going to wait to collect that until I'm 65 because I've been paying into that since I was 16 years old. So I want to get my fair share on that. But so it's not for everyone, and that's what I wanted to talk about. And I'm curious to know what your plans are, if you're planning on working, what your scenario is. It's a lovely idea to not have to work anymore and to be on the clock with someone else, but also is a lovely idea to have that extra income and, the vacation time and to be able to help your family a little bit longer than maybe you had thought. If you made it to the very end, I appreciate you very much. And I hope that you'll let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on the video, on retiring early, and don't mind I keep changing up my background from one video to the next. I'm down here in my workroom, but with my cat. But let me know in the comments that you're here, what your thoughts are, and until next time, bye for now.